guys, Ralph here, and welcome to True Power Trumpet Fitness on this terrific Tuesday here in Connecticut. Life's good, man. Beautiful day out. I'm going out for a bike ride later. Gonna be a little chilly. High 30s, but I gotta go for it, man. I need my fix. I am a cardio junkie, along with a trumpet junkie. Anyway, you saw the thumbnail, a Vacchiano Tip. Guys, this can come very much in handy when we're working on chops. All right? Okay, let me honk. Haven't played a note. Let's see what we got. Double C's, hellacious, and a little barbed wire through the arbin, some double tonguing, doesn't need any more warm-up, down to low F sharps, articulating on the low F sharps. I've been eating some dates. You want a date? I got a funny story about dates. It has nothing to do with trumpet, but I have a funny story. Anyway, I'm in Stop and Shop. It was a couple years ago. Okay? And I'm in the produce section. Like 100% of what I buy is in the produce section. Fruits and veggies. Anyway, in the produce section, unusual, there's this big box that's open and has a set of tongs in it, plastic tongs, and they are single dates. Okay? Not in a package, it's just a box with single dates. Okay? And it has a sign over it, said, single cheap dates. You know what I'm going to say, right? You know what I'm going to say. Anyway, I'm looking at this, and there's an elderly woman, not that much older than me, but an older woman standing right next to me. Okay? And I go, excuse me, ma'am, and I pointed at the sign. I said, is this where you go for a single cheap date? It took her a minute, but a light bulb went on. She slapped me in the arm and walked away. True story. I swear to God, true story. Anyway, Vacchiano. Vacchiano trick. Now, little background. I'm sure you heard me say. Everything that Vacchiano espoused revolved around transposition. It was just mental gymnastics. Mental gymnastics. And if you worked your way around all the different trumpets, you're going to find some sort of an equation with a difficult piece that's going to work for you. And you have to be armed with all the different trumpets and the transpositions to do so. Okay? Now, he loved the Sax book, Saxa, S-A-C-H-S-E. He would pronounce it Saxa. I guess in Italian, that's you pronounce the E. Anyway, and he would have us, if our chops were tired, to do all the transposition on piano. Okay? Now, he wasn't doing for what I'm going to say, okay? But he was doing, if your chops are tired, he wanted you doing hours and hours and hours of transposition. So you look at any piece of music, and it just doesn't matter. Boom. You got it. Okay? I've still got that today, guys. I don't practice transposition at all. I hated it. But I can still do it almost flawlessly. Anyway, do it on piano. Now, he also had another trick, and this doesn't really have to, well, it goes along with what we're saying. But what he would do when he was at Juilliard, okay, I'm not sure exactly what borough he lived in, But unless you're living around Lincoln Center, which a college kid is not, it's too expensive, you have to spend time on the subway. And any college kid that's spending any amount, an hour, 2 hours more on a subway each day, you got to have something to do. That's just throwing hours a day out the window. What he did was he took an old beat-up student model trumpet and cut it down to nothing but the valve casing. Now, you can buy just the valve casings now. But that time, no. He just cut it down, nothing but the valve casings. And he put double springs into each of the valves. So when he's on the subway, he's got his Sox book on his lap, and he's got his valve casings and whatnot in his pocket, and he's practicing transposition all the way to Juilliard and anywhere, all day long. He's practicing transposition. Now, the double springs was to build up the fingers, so when it came down to do something virtuoso-like, he felt he had that. Okay? But here's the deal. Now, this is how it works to us. And also, guys that are doing true power, but also aspire to be an orchestra player and need those transpositions down, guys, do it on the piano. Now, listen, one of the worst things you can do when developing chops is to play any sort of a lick, an exercise, an orchestral excerpt, a Dizzy Gillespie solo, anything. If it's in the upper register and you are fumbling around with keys, notes, pitches, all that sort of stuff. That's the worst thing you can do. The minute, that's nanosecond that you fumble with something, all of a sudden your mind is completely off the tongue, the chops and everything, and it's thinking about the transposition or what you're fumbling. And guys, that will throw off your chops so quickly, especially at the beginning if you don't have it locked in. Okay? So please do not, when practicing chops, when you're pushing the envelope a little bit each day, for notes that are not necessarily in your happy zone, if you're fumbling around with key signatures, don't do it. That is why I love the Clark book for what we're doing. Okay? Now, I don't have you practice it the way Clark has you do it, but what you do is with the second study, you're playing it down an octave first, say F, and then you go up an octave, and it's the same fingering. And for most keys, that's the case. So if you're playing it down an octave, that does two things. Playing it down an octave, you know what it feels like, nice and relaxed. So when you go up an octave, you are trying to emulate that feeling with a little more compression. That's number one. That's invaluable, doing it that way. But also, when you're going up an octave, it's basically the same, just 90% of the time, 99% of the time, it's the same fingering. So you shouldn't be fumbling at all unless you're fumbling around in the lower register. And if you are fumbling around in the lower register, do not play it in the upper register until you got it. Now, at some point, guys, you have to. You have to be able to play the Dizzy Gillespie lick. You have to be able to transfer it from the piano or something to trumpet. But guys, that is a great, great technique. If you are trying to do a Miles Davis solo, or you're trying to do Brandenburg or something, do it on the piano. So musically, you have it all worked out before you try to do it up an octave. Okay? I'll tell you what, between Vacchiano, Broyles, and Jerry, did I have it covered, man? The best trumpet player who ever lived, Mel Broyles. I had two of the best orchestral pedagogues. Vacchiano was absolutely 100%, not even close, ever, the best orchestral teacher ever. And I had the best chops teacher ever. So why aren't I better? Anyway, that is a discussion for another day. But guys, please do those, try those techniques, guys, and don't go above your happy zone unless you are dead sure of the fingering. Okay? Now, do you have to push the envelope? Yes, eventually you should. The bulk of the work for building range is in the happy zone. But yes, at some point you have to get the hang of playing up there to be accurate and secure and all that sort of stuff. Guys, do it on piano. All right? All right. Eat and drink fruits and vegetables and live your life with true power. Love you all.